The human mind, the most amazing natural wonder of the known universe, containing both creative, logical, conscious and unconscious capabilities that make it possible to survive the world in which we live. From the mind of each and every one of us springs forth ideas which plant themselves in the minds of others, which spawn even more ideas, creating an environment that feeds us and allows the race we call human to grow physically, spiritually, and emotionally. The ability to capture these fleeting thoughts we call ideas and convert them into physical realities has been compared to putting lightning in a bottle. The need to generate that spark brings people together with the hope of conquering old problems with new ideas through the exponential power of group thinking. Group thinking, which has been described by many as a brainstorm. Welcome to Brainstorm, the live internet TV show where we discuss old problems, look at new ideas to create amazing solutions. With your host, recording and live engineer Al Burroughs. His guest, radio personality and production expert Mitch Faulkner. World-renowned speaker Jerry Walker. And recording artist and saxophonist for Stevie Wonder, Ryan Kilgore. Oh yeah.
That was a nice intro, man.
Man, we faking it. Welcome to the show. After about a week of production, I'm tired, but hey, we're gonna get it in. Again, welcome. It is Brainstorm. It's time for us, along with you, to figure some stuff out. And this week, we're going to figure out the music business. Sounds like fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, did I have to fix the thing that's most broken in this country outside of healthcare? But before we get started, I want to introduce the guest for the show. The gentleman right here to my immediate left. What do you say? I don't
know. All I want is a microphone.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Microphone.
His name is Jerry Walker. We've been knowing each other for some years now. He's an author, he's a speaker, and he makes money. I don't think there's anything else.
Is there anything else?
I don't think there is anything else. And he recently got married.
Congratulations. March 16th. Married Denise Buchanan, trying to make an honest woman out of her, but I believe she's going to make an honest man out of me first.
I heard that. Okay. Next to him, we've got none other than an Atlanta icon. I mean, it's, I'm just glad I can call the brother up and he'll show up. You know what I'm saying? Because I know some people would love to have him show up, But hey, it's Mitch Faulkner. Mitch, hey, man, appreciate you coming out, man.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
He's got all the answers. He's a walking history book, and we couldn't have done this show on the music business and how to fix it and all the other kind of stuff without him. And then also, we've got on the end there none other than our recording artist, and he's just a cat right now. His name is Ryan Kilgore. If you don't know him, you better recognize, okay? Because this is the cat. You need to know.
Good to be here.
Man, appreciate having you. We've got a lot of different stuff. We got Barry DJ sermons in the chat room. Go ahead and type your name and your city in the chat room so we know who you are and where you are. And this is going to be a conversation not with just us, but we also want you to get involved and tell us what you think about what's going on. Okay. My whole thing was, like I said, I tried to put together something where we could sit down and we could talk about the music business. You've been in the music business a while. You've been in the music business, obviously. I know I have. And then I wanted to bring you in as an author because, it's copyrighted material. It's intellectual property. And right now, everybody is just
everywhere.
Yeah, everybody's everywhere. Okay. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I wanted to do was I actually wanted to play a video that I found online. I found 4 videos online, and we're going to be playing them in different spots throughout the show. Okay. And this hopefully will get things going so you kind of understand where things are, or at least get an idea of where things are. And then maybe we can start bouncing some ideas around. I've got some weak ideas. They've got all the strong ideas, and hopefully between the weak and the strong, we can put something together and get something that will work. Okay, so check this first video out, all right?
This Victrola produced state-of-the-art audio back in the day. Fast forward to today, you'll find purveyors of sound systems of every sort presenting their wares and saying, "Now hear this." Our cover story is reported now by John Blackstone.
This morning, we're showcasing the very latest in high-end audio technology. Yes, vinyl long-playing records, introduced back in 1930, are still state-of-the-art. That is, if you play them on a $50,000 Brinkmann balanced turntable. Why do I want to go back to the old turntable with a needle and tubes and big speakers?
For that, you'll just have to sit down and listen.
At Music Lovers Audio in Berkeley, California,
welcome to our reference room.
Will Klein took us for a spin through the highest in high-fidelity components. This is 4 different CD players.
No, this is one CD player.
The experience reminds you of those old Maxell tape ads, sound that blows you away. Be prepared to have your budget blown away, too. What does a system like this cost?
Over $100,000.
Okay. I don't know how to follow that. Throw in a suitable amplifier and speakers, and you're easily in the hole for $250,000 or more. But take heart, you don't have to break the bank to tap into some cutting-edge sounds. From high-end listening rooms to the music player we carry around in our pocket, technology is now delivering more music to more places than ever.
We're very close to a future where just about every recorded song that we know of is just a couple clicks away on your phone.
Doesn't matter how big a record collection you might have at home, what's in your pocket is going to be bigger.
It should be bigger. All that data still will exist in big cloud servers. Your phone is going to be your window into basically all of music. I do a lot of searching around the deep corners of the internet for cool new bands.
Caleb Garling, technology writer at the San Francisco Chronicle, sees the future of music in companies like Spotify and Pandora that send, or to use the proper lingo, stream music to phones, cars, and home computers. There are inexpensive subscriptions for sale, but most listeners choose to pay nothing and endure a steady stream of ads in exchange for free music.
Now on Spotify for the first time ever.
I grew up listening to music for free. It was called the radio.
All right.
How is it different today?
In some ways, it's not at all. There are a lot of people who listen to music all day without paying a cent.
Some streaming services let listeners pick specific songs. Others, like Pandora, figure out what kind of music a listener wants.
Each song has a musicological fingerprint, if you will.
Michael Adicott works on Pandora's Music Genome Project, training the company's computers to serve as a personal disc jockey. Click thumbs up or thumbs down on a song, and the system gets to know your tastes, even better, they claim, than those closest to you.
This is really the cornerstone of our recommendation technology, and I think it is probably better than the recommendations your wife could make.
Pandora, based in Oakland, California, is the granddaddy of the streaming business, founded all of 14 years ago by Tim Westergren.
We stream more hours of music every month than YouTube streams hours of video. Around 80 million people come every month to Pandora. So we actually are now the biggest radio station in virtually every market in the U.S.
Although recording industry revenues are less than half of what they were a decade ago, streaming services offer new hope. Digital music piracy is now in the decline. It seems most people find it easier to stream than to steal. Is this a golden age for people who love music?
I think it is. The utopia really is that every artist reaches the audience they deserve.
Streaming sites paid out more than $1 billion in royalties to record labels in 2012, the most recent numbers available. But the amount they pay each time a song is played is tiny, as little as 0.6 cents, and only a fraction of that ultimately goes to musicians. It's left many of those who make music complaining this golden age for listeners is leaving them in the dark ages.
The margins on the songs themselves are trending towards zero, and that's a reality of the music industry right now.
Tech writer Caleb Garling says that today's musicians would be wise to follow the business model of a San Francisco band that found fortune long before the internet age, the Grateful Dead. The Dead encouraged their tie-dyed fans to record concerts and trade tapes. Others in the music business considered that stealing.
A lot of people like to joke that maybe the Grateful Dead was the first social media band because they allowed people to record their shows, and that was viral marketing for their shows and for their merchandise.
It helped create those loyal fans known as Deadheads who crowded into shows. Over 3 decades, the Grateful Dead had only one top 10 hit. But at their peak, they took in $50 million or more a year from performing live. You've always been experimenting in a way.
Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. That's what we're up to here. We're finding stuff out.
Grateful Dead guitarist Bob Weir may be showing more than a touch of gray these days, but he hasn't lost his enthusiasm for playing and promoting music. And he sees live performances streamed on the internet as the way young musicians can build a fan base.
The phoenix will have to rise from the ashes because the music industry, as we have known it, is destroyed. You know, one of my big concerns is that artists have to be able to make a living. Something new will have to arrive, and we're here to help that be born.
Weir recently founded the Tamalpais Research Institute, perhaps the world's most high-tech studio for streaming live audio and video on the internet.
The kind of work that went into this, the kind of expense that went into this, you described it as what? An unlimited budget, but...
Yeah, Bob had an unlimited budget. He exceeded that by half, and we continue to.
Chris McCutcheon is CEO of TRI. He and Weir hope the same technology that has hurt record sales will help sell audiences on live performances. As much as the music business is changing, one thing is certain.
People are going to need music, so that need is not going to go away. I would love to see the best and the brightest starting to come back to the arts. And one of the ways of doing that is to make it both aesthetically and financially rewarding.
For listeners, of course, music is its own reward, no matter how it reaches your ears.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, what do you say? You know, I mean, you've been in music almost all your life.
Yeah, I mean, it touches me differently because I am a musician.
Yeah.
So I understand the balance of, I mean, talking to a lot of older musicians and, cats like, yeah, man, I did this gig and I was the new kid, and they say, oh, do you play organ? Yeah, man, I play organ. Let me hear you. All right, you got the gig. Unfortunately, we're going to start you off with the newbie price. And
wow.
they go, okay, well, what's the newbie price? $7,000 a week. Oh, really? That's nothing like $7,000 a week. And these bands were going out for like 6 and 7, 9 months at a time.
Whoa.
And that was the new kid on the block pay. that wasn't even, the 10-year situation. I mean, right. I've heard of musicians, playing with Janet, Michael, making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a week, to go tour for a period of time. And I think the technology in terms of DJs, the things like the MPC and all these things that are great, from a technology standpoint, it's great that you can mimic a drum or mimic an organ or whatever, but it cuts out the live person. Yeah. And anytime you want to make any changes, if that computer shuts down, your show is over with. Yeah. But that's diminished the value of musicians. And so instead of us playing for, stadiums, we're fighting over Apache, or we're fighting over $290, or to get $150, or to get $75 for some people. And I'm actually in the process of trying to start a movement now with musicians, starting here in Atlanta, where we have times where we don't play. Mm-hmm. And that's everywhere. Wow. Just to show you the value of what we bring to the table, because if not, then the people that are willing to accept the $75, you'll see the talent level that's there
for $75.
For $75 versus the cat that tours around the world and he goes and I'm playing in front of thousands and millions of people and then I got to come back to $150.
Right.
So
right.
There's not a good balance.
Right. I mean, there's no
making a lump sum of money and you've been grinding on this level to get here and then you come back home and you got to go back to that. So it's kind of like very disheartening. From a musician standpoint.
What have you been seeing?
Basically the same thing, but
because I mean you're doing radio and radio production.
Yeah, I've been in radio since I was 16, and I've kind of seen the whole thing shift in different directions, and based on what he's talking about, I've seen it happen over and over again. Technology, there's disruptive technology that comes about all the time, and it's like in the music industry in the I would say the late 70s. Going into the 80s, you start seeing the disruptive technology taking over in music in terms of synthesizers, drum machines, and that kind of thing, where it eliminated the musicians. In the disco era, that music kind of took the industry a different direction, so that diminished the value of a musician when you can get a drum machine to emulate the drum patterns, and you got a synthesizer, so you got one keyboard player that can play 4 or 5 different sounds for a band. So now you eliminate, so the horn sections disappeared in the 70s.
Bass player disappears. You got keyboard bass.
Absolutely. Right. But the other part of it is like in radio, radio was that platform where listeners would tune in for music discovery, because that was where they learned heard about new music was from the radio. Right. But when radio got to the point that it started to focus on making the money, it got to the point where it used to be the radio DJs was considered an artist,
right?
In terms of what they do. So when you come on the air, what you played was different from what I played, and vice versa. But when the radio station said, "Hey, if we get one guy to program the whole station, then we can make money," and then that's when it got to the point where you can do the cookie cutter thing. So there's no way that I should be able to go to Chicago and drive from Chicago to Los Angeles and hear the same 35 records. It's not musically sound, because Chicago was the hotbed for house music back in the day, and so that was their indigenous sound. Miami got their indigenous sound, and so different areas, but you don't hear that bleeding through the radio now, and because of that, it has diminished the whole value of the whole music industry process.
What's been going on for decades.
Yes.
When I was a disc jockey in college, 1978, we had a program director, and the program director was tasked by the GM to create the overall sound that we would have. And we, as the DJs, we were the on-air talent, and we were handcuffed.
Exactly.
You can't do a sweep that takes you from Led Zeppelin into Sly and the Family Stone and then Earth, Wind and Fire. We're like, why not?
That's why college radio became so important.
These are some great tunes, and you can craft a great show, but they began to slice away originality, and that's one of the ways they were doing it.
Right, and the other disruptive technology that came along was in the 80s when we got video on TV. That disrupted the musicianship from the standpoint that if I've never heard of a group, like for instance Hall & Oates, when they were on MTV, you see two guys dancing around and singing. You don't know that they're musicians because they're not at their set. You don't know that there's a drummer somewhere in the room on the record and that kind of thing. So it got to the point that if my first introduction to an artist is on video, I don't even relate a band to that.
Right.
Because I'm not seeing a band. And the musicians that are behind the scenes that are actually making the sounds. And but like what we just saw in that video with Jerry Garcia, they were tremendous.
They were way ahead of their,
in terms of what they did in live performances.
Yeah.
And they weren't a big radio hit band. They were to the point where they amassed their following, and that was it. They go around the country touring.
Yeah. One of the things that's interesting, I mean, we got Barry, wow. I'm sorry, Barry, I didn't see all that. You got all that going on in the chat room. Let's see. He says, price fixing is always a good idea as Walmart, McDonald's, a dollar menu, but I think it may be illegal to
calculate it that way.
Calculate it that way, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean,
And the interesting thing about disruptive technology, we go from, I remember 78 when I was growing up as a kid, okay, and then, you got LPs and 45s. You went to what was after that? Cassettes? 8 tracks. Right, 8 tracks. Then you went to cassettes?
Right.
Okay, then after that, and you had all the little things in between, and DATs and all that didn't make it. Mini disc, and exactly, But after, you got your cassettes, and then I remember you had the singles. Then you went to CDs. Okay, then you went to the downloads, and now you look at you've got your streaming thing going on. And what's interesting is that you had whole companies that came and went with the technology shifts. Thing is that for the most part, the business model of the music business never really changed.
Right. No.
It didn't really get hit until we went to ones and zeros. Then everything just went upside down.
Exactly.
But what's interesting was when all this started, I was thinking that, man, this is the opportunity of a lifetime if I'm a musician, because I'm thinking, man, because before it was like, if you could be good and you could put out good stuff, but if the industry, I mean, how many times did the Beatles get turned down? How many times did Elvis get turned down? I mean, you got people who wound up being all that in a bag of chips, got turned down by the labels. In other words, you had people who were gatekeepers. Right. And I looked at it and said, okay, well now if I put something out and people like it, I don't have anybody who's stopping me. So I looked at it as a golden opportunity. The problem I think that's happening is that now, how many records do you have?
Physical?
Yeah, physical records.
Probably about 18.
18,000.
No, 18.
18 vinyl LPs?
Yeah, I've downsized. As a matter of fact, since the last time I was here.
Yeah, because last time we talked.
It was more than 18,000. I probably had 20, 30,000. But it just got to the point it was bulky and taking up a lot of space, and so I sold them to someone who could use them.
There you go. And see, all that happened since the last time we talked.
Since the last time we talked.
Right.
It's like, but every song I had, I still have digitally. But I kept 18 that I felt was
these are the ones.
Artistic art covers and some of the Ohio Players stuff, Parliament stuff, some Stevie Wonder stuff, some Miles Davis, Bitches Brew, Santana, that kind of. I still got that stuff. But, it just disruptive technology just disrupted my house because I ain't have enough space for all that stuff. Right.
Exactly. I mean, so the thing is that, and one of the things we wanted to talk about, what I'm going to do is, during the show, I wanted to put a lot of this on the front end, but we kind of moved into some things. I do have different pieces. I got a piece on you, and I've got your books, because we want to be your book cover and stuff like that. So, but what I want to do is I'm going to play yours first, Ryan. Okay. You being a musician, because really that's where a lot of this focus is right now. How do you eat? Because y'all got to create this stuff. How do you eat? Because
one thing that I'm doing with my record, I'm working on my record that'll be out this fall.
And by the way, the music that you heard in the intro was Ryan's. So it's all musically, it's all Ryan tonight. So
well, I appreciate that. But one of the things that a lot of musicians have been burnt. I played on major artist record and never got credit.
Wow.
I played on soundtracks and got credit, but you couldn't hear me. So different things like that. So, and I played on other people's records, and it's like, wow, I'm excited that I'm on the record, but I'm not really excited because when they're getting checks, I'm not getting checks. So what I decided to do was, I'm the artist, and yes, I wrote a lot of the stuff, if not, in terms of my piece of it, but I don't play drums, I don't play guitar, I don't play piano, so I'm giving them a piece of a song that they play on. It's only fair.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because then now the musicians, because I'm a musician, even though I'm an artist as a musician, you know what I mean? Like, they can be excited about the record that they're on, versus me just saying, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to do this record. Let me give you $150 or thanks for the love or whatever. It's like, no, let's do this right. And I get a piece of every song as an artist.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But the musician, he may only play it on one song, but what if that song is a hit? It doesn't feel good to know the song you played on the drums, you play, and
you contributed,
and you contributed, and nothing's coming back to you. And these people have families and all those kinds of things. So I think even things like that, people may think I'm crazy or whatever, but that's just from my heart to want to be able to spread the love, so it's more of a celebration of this record. So 15 years from now, someone can say, "Oh, no, I was on that record. That song right there is still feeding me."
Right.
Because, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think the thing is what you're bringing to the table is part of why I wanted to do this tonight. Because there's got, like the guy was saying, there's got to be a solution somewhere. And a lot of times it happens organically. It happens inside the group who's being affected. They come up with ways of fixing the problems that they find themselves in. One they have to, like, you got to eat. So but like I said, I wanted to play it's just a piece from your I guess something I found on YouTube. Okay, and I want to talk about it after we get through watching it.
Coming from such a musically inclined family, music was such a big part of my life. I started playing around age 10, and that made me the 4th generation sax player in my family. And through their influence, I was introduced to great sax players like the late Grover Washington Jr., Najee, Kim Waters, Kirk Whalum. So to have this as a career has been nothing short of a blessing.
That's awesome. Man. Did y'all see that? Well, y'all paying attention.
Y'all need to back that up and see that. I'm sitting over here next to the man.
Tell me what's going on around this.
No, it's a blessing. I mean, that's. I mean, I get chills. When you're in those moments, sometimes you don't realize how big that is. And I've been with Stevie for 8 years, and it's amazing. I remember the first show. I remember going to the stage for the first time, asking God, am I supposed to be here? Is this a dream? Is this supposed to be what I'm doing? Wow. Even though I put it out there that's what I wanted to do, but to see the business on that level, and then to come home and see it on a different level, it's like, half a dozen, 6 in the other hand in a lot of cases. It's just a bigger model of what it looks like, and sometimes when people only see, 285, it's like, oh, okay, cool, that's all they see. But then when you get the opportunity to see both, and to see even in the middle, you have a different respect for, what we do. People like Nathan Watts, he's been with Stevie for almost 40 years, but the average person doesn't know who Nathan Watts is. They know his sound. Miyungo Jackson, he's been with him for 15 plus years. Dwight Adams, I mean, all these musicians that played in his band, they've been with him for 15 plus years, but you don't really know who I'm talking about.
Right.
And what's interesting was back in the day when you had CDs and you had the sleeves and all that kind of, or records and you had the sleeves, you knew everybody in the band. Right. Man, I knew Paula DaCosta. I mean, and these were like the backup percussionists to Earth, Wind and Fire. Right. You knew that cat.
Knew who, it was important, and the artists now. I like what Justin Timberlake is doing. I like a certain artists that I like. I can tell that they're embracing their band and their dancers and the people that are around them. Giving them certain different type of platforms to be able to be exposed. But then you have some artists that don't want you to shine. You just there just to help me look good, and that's that. Yeah. But it kills the morale of the musicians. It also creates musicians to be more cutthroat when they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Right.
Music is a weapon. It's from a spiritual standpoint, it's a weapon. And to be able to infiltrate certain arenas. I mean, I could play the saxophone anywhere. At any point, at any time in this world, I can go anywhere and pull out my horn and play, and it's not a problem.
When I was looking at you playing, man, I was thinking, man, I wonder
how many hours he's had his mouth on that mouthpiece.
Wow,
that reed is worn out.
Man,
that's a great question. I've never thought about that.
But you know, the other part, going back to what we said about disruptive technology, is that you said you started playing at 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you think about it, the music that young people see today, they don't see musicians, so they're not sitting at home saying, I want to be like that guy.
Right.
They're seeing guys walk around with a microphone holding their business, you know, rapping or whatnot, and that's the music of the youth. So they don't have the aspiration to become a musician because they've never seen a musician.
Yeah. Right.
They've never experienced what a musician does. You know, it's like for us, I'll speak for myself, when I was a teenager, every piece of music I listened to was live music. That's why I'm sitting here 5 minutes, man, because I mean, you know, listening to brass construction, the horn section, Tower of Power, Earth, Wind and Fire. I mean, every band, Ohio players, everybody had a horn section.
Yeah.
So when you go to the show, you see 4 cats standing over here. You see a French horn. You know, you see a sax, you see a flute,
tuba or something. Yeah,
man,
something.
they over there and they hitting it on the wood. And you mesmerize it. The dude over here takes off with a bass solo, and you mesmerize the guy here takes off, and you sitting there like, when I saw Sugarfoot playing a double neck guitar.
Yeah.
I said, man, I want to be a
Ohio
guitar player.
for the people who didn't know.
Yeah. I said, man, I want to be a guitar player.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I actually tried, but I wound up playing CDs and records.
But it's interesting. I do a lot of career days and stuff in the schools, and when I initially started doing it, I was struggling because I'm like, man, you know, how do I get these kids' attention? And I would think about playing my original music, but then I realized they didn't have a relationship with that. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, jazz is not promoted to a younger audience.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I started the movement changing the face of jazz. Mm-hmm. So basically what that is changing the listener's face. Mm-hmm. But how do I do that? Because we don't have radio stations, because there are no jazz radio stations. Right. And jazz is my mama and grandmama in their music, so I'm not listening to the same thing my grandmama and them listening to.
Mm-hmm. So and what's interesting, what you said, when we grew up, your mother and your father and the kids, we all listen to the same
music. Right. Right.
We all listen to the Jacksons, we all listen to the OJs, we all listen to the Temptations.
And I think that's by design too, that aspect. But so when I go into class, I'm telling them about my story, who I am, this is what I did, I started off just like you, this and the other, and then I play for them. Mm-hmm. But then I'll play There Goes My Baby, Champagne Life, Pretty Girl Rock, stuff that they have a relationship with already.
Yeah.
But now you're listening to jazz because you heard it my way.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And so now when it's time for me to come back, I mean, we're doing CD release parties in schools next fall. Wow. You know, that's the reason why I waited until the fall to release the record, because I wanted to be in conjunction with the kids. You know, because I gotta change. You know,
you a businessman. I'm checking you out.
I mean, but you know, it's otherwise it's a dying art, and I feel like an endangered species.
Yeah.
Or I had to go over to Europe or go, you know, to Japan somewhere, and I'm like, wow, it started over here, but yet, anytime you ask a young person who names some jazz artists, they name somebody that's passed. They're dead. They're not even here, and that's fine. I mean, the Coltrane's, the Charlie Parkers, Dizzy, Miles, I love them all, but they're not alive.
That's true.
You know, so go to a concert where someone is actually alive and you can shake their hand and remember that, and tell your kids, man, I met Ryan Kilgore 20 years ago.
Thing.
Yeah. So what does I got a question for Ryan and Mitch and for you, Al. So my question, as someone who's not in the music business but appreciates music, and like you, I was
and the thing is, what's interesting about what you're asking or what you just said is that you wind up being the biggest part. Everybody's responding to people like you. You're not in the business, but you have an appreciation for music, and it's what you're doing that's actually changing our lives. So you know, that's what's so interesting.
What does a record deal, you know, that old term of art, what does a record deal look like in 2014, Ryan?
A lot of them are 360. A lot of them are 360 deals. As an independent artist, I mean, again, that's what I'm saying. You know, in terms of knowing the game, you know, knowing what type of situation you get into. But they want to rape you for everything. You do all the work, and we get a percentage of everything. And I mean, I've had management deals, or people present deals to me where they wanted 10% of merchandise. They want percentage of mechanical royalties.
Everything.
They want percentage of performance royalties. And I'm like, wow, you didn't write a song, you didn't write a lyric, you didn't play an instrument, you didn't do the photo shoot. I'm financially responsible for everything, but yet you get a percentage.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you're hungry in the sense that you want anything, and you don't have a vision for your music, see, a lot of people get caught up in, I got talent, I got the look, and I'll do anything just to be famous. Famous is not what you're really trying to be. You're trying to touch lives. And if music is a ministry, or if it's something that's important to you, that you're trying to touch people, because you don't know who you're touching. You know, this could be the next president of the United States that you just played for, and when he gets inaugurated, he's like, I need to find Ryan Kilgore to come play for my inauguration. You know, that was 20 years ago, 30 years ago when you did that. But now it's better to be an independent artist because of that's the good side about the digital aspect of
what I was talking about earlier. When I was looking, I was like, man, this is going to be great. You know, I mean, I got to control my own destiny now.
Right.
You know?
So I've embraced more so the grassroots of like the 70s and 80s of how they putting the music out with this next record. Even though I'm going to utilize and take advantage of the technology, but I don't necessarily need you to give me a record deal. Right. I need you to help me market and promote it. You know, so if you have the funding for that, or if I have an investor or that type of thing, then that's really all I need is viral support to be able to really push it, because I can still be in Atlanta and have millions of fans in Japan.
Now, what I want what I want to do, actually, first, what I want to do is, you know, Jerry, you got a couple books out,
right?
Okay, these are the 2 books. Go ahead and give us a brief description of the 2 books that you've got out here.
Okay. The book that you see on the screen on the left is Embrace, Meditations from Word of Truth. I wrote a column that was distributed by njesus.com for 6 years called A Word of Truth. And Embrace is actually volume 1 of what will be a 10-volume run, where the meditations are really a look at the practical aspect of being a Christian and how very present the Bible is, and if we will walk that out, we will see God in our lives every day. The other book, Be Known for Your Deeds, is a roadmap, and what it maps out is destiny. God designed each one of us in a very, very special way. I mean, there's a reason why you play the saxophone. There's a passion there. The design meshes perfectly with the passion. Now, my design is that I've never met a stranger. I'm on a worldwide search, and I haven't found one yet.
I can see you now, like 2 years old, like, yeah, I know you.
Exactly. Mom and Dad, 5 years old. Tell everybody a joke.
Right. You're right.
Got the stage, yes. You know, so that's my design, that I'm fearless when it comes to that. My passion is encouraging people to be better than they've been and do more than they've done. Wow. You know, and so the two just, they're perfect, together. You know. And you know, I look at you, Al. You bleed entertainment out of your pores. I mean, you know, if we'd have to mop up after you. You know?
But you know,
no matter what it is. Yeah. But I mean, you embrace entertainment, every facet of it, whether it's television, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's internet. You know, you're an internet TV mogul. You know, you are going to entertain, and you're going to find an outlet for that. You know.
You know, I'm going to say something to that. I learned very early in life. And it's a rule I live by, and I think some of y'all may have heard me say it before. But when I learned a long time ago, if you do something today, you do it again tomorrow, you'll be better tomorrow than you are today. Mm-hmm. That means literally I can do anything I want to do. Right. All I have to do is be willing to pay the price.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And once you understand that, man, I mean, it's like, man, you just, I mean, it's an eagle thing. You just gone, you know.
It's like the show that you blessed me to have on air, had a talk show on I Like It Live, called the No Limit Life. Mm-hmm. Once you embrace your design and what your passion is, and that you're walking in the destiny that God created you for, there's no limits.
Mm-hmm. What I want to do, limits are off. What I want to do with your books, okay? Because there's another video. It's the second video here, and the reason I wanted to have you on, because most people don't realize Google is in the process of actually digitizing every book in the world. Mm. And there's a big stink about the whole royalty issue and all this other kind of stuff. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because I knew you had written the books, and I don't think a lot of authors realize that the whole digital disruption or technological disruption that's going on right now is not just affecting musicians. It's affecting anybody with intellectual property. Right. You know, and you as an author, I wanted to bring you on to represent them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this second video, and they do have some stuff in this video about authors, and so along with the musician part. So pay attention to this. This gets into the money thing that you were talking about earlier in terms of that spread. Yeah. When you go out on the road, there's one thing. When you come home, there's another. Check this video out, man.
The band Wolfpick is rehearsing for what they hope is their upcoming tour.
We're on Wolf Records, which is a logo I created, and that's about the extent of it. So we get all the money from Spotify and our record sales.
Streaming services like Spotify and Beats Music introduce consumers to new artists. It also allows bands to raise money. The music industry has traditionally been a superstar economy, where the top 1% gets most of the wealth, while the rest of the guys are barely paying the bills. But with the digital revolution, the world is being exposed to more and more artists.
Now, recently, fans are starting to come in through Spotify first and just hear the audio, and then maybe find the video.
While digital technology might be helping with exposure, it hasn't closed the income gap between the 1% and the 99% in the music business.
So far, it hasn't particularly planned out because the royalties that Spotify and other services pay are, pennies.
According to a report by Media Consulting, the top 1% in the media industry is raking in 77% of all recorded music income. Part of the problem might be too many choices.
The inequality in the digital sphere doesn't necessarily come, from some mega corporation like Clear Channel forcing people to only listen to, let's say, Katy Perry. A lot of people are intimidated by, a search bar just standing between them and 25 million songs.
Streaming services are using new data tools to be more user-friendly and engage a wider audience.
They're providing a Twitter-like service, for a very low cost. So I wonder if in a few years that'll be clearer that they're doing a good thing.
As new music services pop up, 99% of musicians will still struggle to find creative ways to rise to the top of the superstar music economy.
Cool.
In Los Angeles, Ramon Galindo, RT.
Wow. Right. 1% makes 77% of the money.
Yeah. I mean, it's little things like, well, the one thing I try to encourage musicians, or just people, period, is learning the business.
Yeah.
And learning those things. But there's a thing called a black hole. And it's all the royalties that don't get claimed. And then they slice it up at a certain point, and they just disperse it back to the same.
Like the digital royalties that are going to musicians now that musicians don't know anything about.
Right.
They don't know anything about it, and they're saying, oh, well, we're promoting it. No, you're not, because all that money goes in and you just sits there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, too, is that we don't, a lot of us don't know about ISRC codes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Putting a fingerprint on your song so that you can keep up with it. It's 10,000 beautiful ones. The name, the beautiful one.
Yeah.
How do I know it's yours?
What's interesting about that, what I feel is interesting about all of that, is that there was a time where record companies basically, they were taxed. They were going to do everything, but they were taxing you for it. But they were doing everything.
Yeah.
They were handling your graphics, they were handling your marketing, your promotion, your branding, your choreography in the case of Motown and dress and all that. I mean, they handled everything. Now, yeah, they got the lion's share of the money, but they were handling everything. Now, since the record companies have basically been what the part that they were handling is not really making any money, they're gone. They took whatever money. In the case of, I have Richard Branson with Virgin, he took the money and ran. He got out before all this happened. But the interesting thing about it is that now artists who spent how many years playing sax?
Well over 20.
Well over 20 years playing sax. Now you got to turn around and learn something about marketing, promoting, this, that, and the thing is, you got to learn on a level where you have to actually get out and do it now.
Right.
And I heard that there are actually some of those major labels are now saying, well, what we'll do is we'll offer these services to you. We're going to change our business model. This is what we're talking about here in terms of the whole metamorphosis and how do we change, what are we going to do about the music business to change it, and can it be fixed? That's one of the things that's happening. We're seeing record companies saying, okay, we got our regular record company, but now we got an a la carte record company over here. Right. You want to hire, our promotions company. You can hire them. You want to hire, you can do it.
That's publishing.
They're doing the same thing.
I self-publish as recently as 5-10 years ago. Probably very difficult to get into. And I self-published my first 2 books. Most likely I will self-publish the novel that I'm writing now. But what it does, to your point about a la carte, I write it, I edit it, I do the artwork for the jackets. Everything is done by me. I can farm out as much as I want or as little as I want. I can retain as much control as I like, make as many royalties as I want, but I've got to do my own marketing. My books are on Amazon automatically. My books are, and because of the distribution channels I selected and paid for, it's on BarnesandNoble.com. But until I reach a certain sales threshold, those books will not appear in print in a brick and mortar store. They will be print on demand. And that's where I was thinking that music might go, is where you can get as many guys as you want in a studio at a time, do as much as you want, and then a la carte with a music publisher, then you get your stuff out, CD on demand, and as many want to buy it can buy it.
So we're kind of leading into the idea stage of this, and this is really where I wanted to go, because that's one particular idea. There's another idea video here that I have that I wanted to play also, but it's kind of sketchy in terms of whether it's going to work or not. I had an idea of actually 2 ideas. One, combining books with recording artists. So in other words, when you buy the book, you get both. So in other words, if you're buying like a romance novel, but there's certain artists that may have music that might match that particular book, and so now you sell it as a package deal, because you got authors who are having problems, you got musicians who are having problems. So now what you do is
crazy. I'm actually working on a project like that.
See, and then there was another idea that I had about, and I don't know if that'll work or not, but there's another idea I had about taking, because everybody we hear sports and entertainment. Well, why not, since we've got so many artists who are now out there on television competing, okay, why don't we take the sports business model and apply it to the music business? So now the Chicago Bulls signed a Michael Jordan. Okay, they pay him a certain amount of money. He goes all over the country performing. Okay,
yeah, essentially,
essentially that's what he's doing. Okay, so you got another company that's over here that may hire. Now, mind you, now you got one Michael Jordan. He's making money. Why? Because he's attracting the people. Okay, you got Scotty, you got BJ and all them, but Mike getting that money because Mike's filling the seats the same way LeBron James is today. Okay, so if you've got a team of artists, and you may have some sort of competitive thing going on with, say 2 different camps or whatever, but the whole thing is that competition is already out there through The Voice, through what's the other one? American Idol, and all this other kind of stuff. And then we're not even talking about on a local level where you see it all the time, through showcases, who's this, who's that. So I thought about it. I said, man, there might be something there that can be messed with and tweaked, where you start to bring that element together. The reason, but I think in the end, going back to the point of Jerry and people like Jerry being the crux, even when it comes to book sales, you're having to deal with the people who are buying books. In other words, the consumer is driving this right now. And in the end, we've got to come up with something creative that the consumer is going to go with. That, in the end, is what's going to have to happen, because they're the one, if they don't spend the money, we don't make the money. Right now, they'll go see a concert, but
the thing, just to kind of get to what Jerry and Ron are talking about, the problem we have in radio is that we don't have a feeder source for new listeners. And let me explain to you what that means.
Wow, really?
It's like, think about this.
It's true.
I got a 20-year-old son, my youngest son, and the cell phone has always been in his life. Always. He's never picked up the phone and dialed it with a finger. He never did the touch tone thing. Even the phone in the house was cordless when he was a kid. So he doesn't have any recollection to what a telephone was, I mean,
and that long cord that went across the kitchen.
Exactly. Exactly. So think about this. We got people that's been driving cars, and they've never been able to go to the gas station and somebody come out and pump the gas and check the oil in the car.
That's right.
So now think about this. In radio, we've got people that have never listened to radio, but they consume music every day. So if you got a station, let's just use for the sake of a conversation here in Atlanta, if you got KISS 104, which is an adult station, we're playing music for people 35 to 54, 25 to 54. Well, that audience still understands, I like that song, I'm going to go buy it and put it on my shelf. So when we get ready to get into this particular mode, I can pull that CD out and play it. But we got people that have never experienced that, let alone a piece of vinyl. So now they don't have a connection to what we're talking about. And so now, in what you're doing with the books, you've got people from this day forward will never have a bookshelf in their house.
No. Think about that.
So if they want a book, they're going to put it on their iPad or their Kindle or their or whatever.
Because I buy audiobooks. I mean, that's a good point. I buy audiobooks.
So now you got to find a way to break through that in order for the introduction process to happen, because you don't have a feeder. It's like, for instance, back in the 70s when I first entered the radio scene, we had a thing where we'd say we'd program from the cradle to the grave. At some point during the week on that radio station, you have a show for the kids, playing the stuff the kids like. You're going to have a show for mama now. You're going to have a show on Sunday playing the gospel. Sunday evening you're going to be playing the jazz. Saturday morning you're playing the blues. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. So now it's a total disconnect. So now if radio is focusing on a station like V103 is focusing on 18 to 36. But the lower end of that demo, 18 to 25, don't connect with radio.
Because they've got Pandora, they've got Spotify, they got YouTube. Exactly. I mean, you can sit there and go to YouTube all day on YouTube. Create your favorites.
But now to go back to Mr. Kilgore here, in terms of exposing himself, he's got the right idea in terms of getting into the grassroots aspect of it, because you have to build a fan base and then have that become viral, just like what they did with Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead back in the day. Right, and the same thing with you with the books. Your appearances and that kind of thing, you're promoting your books, and hopefully with some smart AdWords, whatever you do on the internet, words that would make your book pop up when somebody's searching for something.
Wow. Right.
And that's the dynamic of it. But radio probably has, from a profitable standpoint, maybe 3 to 5 years.
Terrestrial radio?
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Wow, really?
From a profit standpoint, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, when you think
I didn't know it was that close.
How it's pushing, from that streaming and everybody streaming and those type of things, and then I look at, like if we're riding in the car, my brother has on headphones while the radio's on.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So there is a disconnect from the radio, and I had to say, hey man, what are you listening to?
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a total disconnect, and so it's like, well, why they already choosing their own music there, whether it's old school, whether it's hip hop, rap, whatever. And on top of that, even from a different angle, the music is hypnotic. So they get hypnotized to listen to certain artists and certain things, those kinds of things. So people don't understand the spiritual aspect of frequencies and what's going on, and how the devil is a musician. You know what I mean? So this is his playground anyway. Right. So when he's able,
but the devil can't create anything.
No,
he's a copycat.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He cannot create.
We were created to be creators, and
That's
so
right.
when you tap
creators.
out, or when you cut out the creator, you know what I mean? And that's going back to the whole digital and using the electronics and the synthesizers and things we were talking about.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, and this, again, looking for, trying to find, because the interesting thing about trying to find a solution or some solutions to what's going on is that, first of all, we got to just catch up. That's why I keep playing the videos, because, I mean, we just got to catch up with what's going on, before we can even address trying to get ahead. Right. Now one of the things I wanted to ask you as a musician, I knew when I was growing up, I would go sit in the window there was a band that played in the basement next door, and I would go sit in the window, and they weren't practicing for a gig, they were just jamming. I grew up, you just played. I have a guy now, we just play. And you know, I hear music on Facebook. You know, guys are complaining. You know, I mean, I went to see some musicians play, and I stopped doing local stuff about back in 2002. Okay, when I got with SOS, and I just stopped the whole local thing altogether because all the bands were playing all the same stuff. Now I went to see some musicians. I'm talking about the upper echelon cats play, right? And they were playing the stuff that I was playing 12 years ago. And so I was wondering, is there a disconnect because we don't have that? Because, you know, when you're jamming, there's a creative thing that's going on there. There's a vibe. There's a whole nother thing that's going on. And a lot of times that's how the music was created. You would get together and just play, and something would come out of that. What's the attitude towards that right now?
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. I think people have lost the art of being a fan. People would go to concerts and go and see people and go jam, and it didn't matter what the song was called. Here's a song, we just, hey, bass player, give me a lick, and he'd start something, and it's like, okay, all right, drummer, you know. So musicians are not being creative with jam sessions. It's more of,
let's get through the gig.
Well, not even get through the gig. It's more of, you know, let me figure out a way to be in the spotlight so I get some attention. You know, so it you know, things have to be about intent. And when your intent is about yourself, then those jam sessions now are they're not important. And they're not really reaching people. And that's the thing about being a musician and understanding your responsibility as an artist, or if you've been given any type of talent, when you use it, your intent matters. Yes. I don't think in Judgment Day, he's not going to be asking about jaywalking. He's not going to be asking about whether you lied to your mom. He's going to be asking you, what did you do with what I gave you? And did you use it for good intent? Did you use it to change lives? So it doesn't even matter. So when I go to a jam session, it's frustrating because people, as soon as they see me, they're like, yo, let's call Ryan Kilgore up. And these guys are playing every note known to man. Every note. And I'm like, man, like, you can't have a conversation with a chick like that. Hey, how you doing? You know, it's like, man, it's hello, it's how are you? What is your name? Where are you from?
Oh my goodness, dude! Did you have to go there?
In a way, when you mentioned that, the way that I relate to what you just said was a buddy of mine who could mimic any guitarist. He had the gift. He could hear it. He could play it. And his favorite guitarists were speed metal guys. So he's trying to ramp up 120, 150 notes a minute. I mean, just fingers are flying. And I asked him, I said, but why don't you play Santana? And he says he's too slow. And I said, but Santana is talking to you.
That's right. It's
a conversation. B.B. King is talking to you.
Phrasing is almost a lost art amongst a lot of people who play. You know, I mean, it's all about a lot of notes and what you can physically. It's almost like gymnastics versus an art. You know what I'm saying? Right. I want to play. I pulled something off a website you were on. You know,
tell them what that is.
That's okay. Because the thing is that when you say, okay, terrestrial radio, 3 to 5 years. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play something of Mitch's so that you understand what it is that Mitch does. Okay, they'll be able to see us, but they won't be able to hear us. Okay. But I want you to. I basically want people to take a listen to again what he does, because it's now based on what you're saying and listen to what y'all saying. I'm like, man, dude, you're the only entertainment on radio right now. Listen to what he does. Check this out.
Mitch Faulkner, Urban AC.
WRKS, New York. Playing the best variety of old school and today's R&B. This is 98.7 KISS FM. WRKS, New York.
50 minutes of music every hour. On 98.7 KISS FM.
The best variety of old school and today's R&B.
Another hour of your favorite music begins now. Classic soul and today's R&B. Classic soul and today's R&B on WMPZ, Ringo, Chattanooga. 93.7 and 93.3 FM. Groove 93, a Brewer broadcasting station. Music designed for grown folks in mind. We are the #1 adult choice for Pensacola. Magic 106.1. Coming soon. Someone will have a chance to win $9,610. That's $9,610 from the big station. And AT&T 96.1 Jams.
Just to think.
was you, man. That's awesome.
Man, your library of sound effects has got to be like,
that's crazy.
but that, to me, that was almost like, man, okay, now that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You
But-
see what, you know, I mean.
But to kind of speak to that, it's interesting. I went to New Orleans this past weekend. We drove down, and I drove through Montgomery, Alabama, which one of my stations is on down there. And I picked it up probably 25 or 30 miles before I got to Montgomery. Rode all the way through Montgomery and rode out of the signal going toward Mobile, and I never heard any other voice other than me talking about the radio station. Now, what that means is that if we were playing Ryan Kilgore's song, they would never know it. Because the song comes on, it plays, and here I am, 104.3, you know, the best music. And they go to another song, and somebody said, man, what was that song he was just playing,
DJ's
man?
not doing backtracks.
But the radio station, because of the fact that the industry is dying, and I let everybody know that, and I understand that because I'm having to reinvent myself, because at some point I'm not going to be able to eat.
Yeah.
But the thing is that because of the fact that radio is dying, they've downsized to the point where a lot of stations have less than 3 people in the building that can open a microphone.
Mm.
So they deal with the syndication and that kind of thing. So because of the fact that they don't want to pay, well, they can't afford to pay talent. It used to be in a major market like this that a DJ can make anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 a year. So now it's down to $12 an hour in some cases. You know, because of the fact that you don't have a value. It's nothing for you to do. You don't need to tell the people what these songs are. Why? Because we played these same damn songs over and over, so everybody know what the songs are. You
And I
don't
got
have to come on.
sound scan on my phone, so
Right,
if I really
you
want to know.
hit Shazam or something, you find out
Man,
what's
that's crazy.
So the technology, the disruptive
Man,
technology, is taking us out.
but wait a minute, we can't slide by them numbers you just whipped out. $200,000 down to $12 an hour.
Yes, sir. Just like what he was talking about here with the musicians. Same thing.
Unless you have national syndication.
Unless you're on a national show. And some of the local guys that have enough tenacity to stay in the marketplace long enough to build themselves up can ramp up to maybe 100,000. There's very, very few top 10 markets now where a full-time DJ is getting 6 figures.
Wow.
Because your level of importance has diminished.
Yeah.
You know?
I got one more video I'm gonna play. Okay, I got one more video I'm gonna play. I know I'm playing a lot of videos, but I mean I found out so much stuff online. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into this idea thing. I found this online. It's an idea for musicians because again, we've got this thing going on. You've got people who are consuming more music. I probably got more music on my cell phone than I ever could carry. You know, in real, okay,
right.
exactly, okay. And then we're not even talking about the whole streaming side, because literally, like the guy said earlier, you know, there's going to be a couple of clicks, and you can get any song ever recorded ever in a couple of clicks. So, what I did was when I found this, I thought it was interesting. There's some holes in it. That's what happens when you brainstorming. You know, you find holes, but I like their thinking. Okay, so check this video out. See what you think.
The music industry is sick. More music is consumed now than at any other point in history. The CDs bring in less than half the revenue they did a decade ago. Major label representatives are fighting a losing battle against music sharing, considering piracy to be the biggest threat to the future of creative industries. They attempt to halt the viral spread of music through restrictive licensing. Fan-made videos, cover versions, and remixes are removed from the internet for copyright infringement. These artificial limits cut off millions of potential fans, leaving them in the dark. You cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. Meet the 2 most important people in the music industry: the artist and the fan. Airborne creates a direct connection between the two. For $1 a month, a fan can become a carrier, supporting the artist they love. For the artist, this means a stable and predictable revenue stream, needing only 1,658 carriers to earn the U.S. minimum wage. In return, their carrier is instantly sent any music they release, accessible whenever and however they want it. New music from the artist is stored in the cloud for them to stream, download, or share. Sharing introduces new fans to the artist and their music, each one a potential new carrier. Airborne music is accessible across all borders, on any device, anywhere in the world. And the artist has access to intelligence on how it all happens, who shares their music and how. Knowing where and who their carriers are, the artist can continue building on their direct connection between them. Airborne empowers artists to earn a living by doing what they love and provides their carriers with a new, continuous flow of music into their lives. Music that can be enjoyed freely and shared with the world. Piracy is not the enemy. Obscurity is. Embrace file sharing as promotion instead of treating it as theft. Shrug off geographical boundaries imposed by licensing issues. Spread your music as far as it can go. The internet has no borders. This is the evolution of music. Music is the virus, and the virus is airborne.
Leave it to Jerry. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's a very well done piece of marketing.
I mean, it's you know, it's got and that's the key, the marketing piece, because you can come up with an innovative idea, but if you can't, you know, voice or market or put it out there in a way where people get it, it will die on the vine. Now, obviously the $1 a month. I mean, if you got a fan base that's willing to pay you $1 a month, you know, and you know, you got 7 billion people on the planet, and like they said, you don't have to have a whole lot of people in order for you just to make minimum wage.
Right.
But the thing is that it's residual money that's coming in every month.
The question Ryan and I had during the video was, how much does Airborne keep and how much does the artist get?
Right.
That's one thing.
That's
and
the key.
where's the money? And where's the money kept, and how is it distributed?
But I'll tell you the other thing that
Internet
got
with
me.
no borders is going to have some limits there when currency starts flowing.
Right. But the other thing was that I thought about was, okay, let's just say that I go to Airborne, okay, and you're on Airborne, and you're out performing, and you're saying, hey, you can hook up with me for $1. One of the things that's got to happen is that you got to have a steady flow of music, because these people are not going to keep paying money, and you're not delivering.
Yeah. So it's one of those situations where before I even started, I had to have a catalog of new music ready, and figure out a way to slow feed them the music.
You know what's interesting to me?
Doing albums, doing individual songs.
It sounds like to me, I could be wrong, but it sounds like to me that as an author, as a musician, and you say you're reinventing yourself, I'm reinventing myself some kind of way trying, but especially with you know, the two people who are creating this intellectual property, one of the things that I'm seeing is that I could be wrong, but I swear it sounds to me like people really got to do more work.
Yes.
Artists are going to have to start to work, because if you think of the way Stevie Wonder and that whole Motown crew had to work, they worked every day on their craft, and they wasn't playing. I mean, they were working because that's what they had to do in order to do their thing. And then even some artists that go in and get signed, a lot of times your rock acts and stuff like that, they're like on the road, they're gigging, they're in the Volkswagen, and they got a whole PA system behind them, you know, and they're going from city to city. You think about Dave Matthews. You know, he's a great example.
Still gigging,
you know, but he created such a following before, you know, you got a guy, who's that guy that was at the Grammys who, they didn't even know who he was.
Oh, they won the Grammy.
He won the Grammy. The Grammy people didn't know who he was.
Yeah,
he got nominated. So my point is that it sounds like to me that the work that used to be done back in the day to make it in the music business is now coming full circle, because they're saying we got a system to get you the money.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, you know,
and you got to gig.
Yeah,
you got to work.
You got to work, and you know, the grassroots. Like I said, I mean, some formulas never have been broken.
That's true.
You know, mouth to mouth, word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know, promotion. That will never stop working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if someone else, if I'm listening to a song, and you know, I got my headphones on, no.
What you listening to, man?
I mean, what you
then you got the ugly face, right?
Check this out. You know what I mean? Then you're gonna automatically be like, just from seeing me be into it, it's gonna make you feel that pulse. And a lot of artists are not willing to create that pulse. They want someone else to do it for them. Mm-hmm. And I've embraced that aspect of it. And because I'm watching it work, like I said, when I go into the schools, and even some other ideas that I've had, you know, with this record, you know, to say, well, how do I get? Because again, you know, from a jazz musician standpoint, you know, I'm an endangered species.
Yeah.
So how do I create something when I don't have a major budget? Yeah, I play with an icon, but Ryan Kilgore, the artist, doesn't have, you know, millions of dollars behind him to say, oh, let me put $100,000 into marketing and promoting just on ads alone across the country, or a MARTA bus, or this place or that place. I don't have that. Right. You know, and if I sat around and waited on that to happen, then, you know, 10, 15, 20 years would go by. So how do guys get, you know, you have to learn about intellectual property is the first thing, mm-hmm. you know, and understanding how that works. And as well as not be afraid to put your music out. You know, a lot of musicians or producers think it's cool because I got 1,000 songs. But if no one's ever heard the song, then it doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So mm-hmm. so in essence, that from that standpoint actually could work for people that have those catalogs.
Right.
You know.
The other thing I was looking at with this was, you got a person who's paying $1 a month to Ryan Kilgore, he's paying, you know, $1 a month to, you know, to Bobby, paying $1 a month, you know. So mm-hmm. sooner or later, because these online streaming services are like what, maybe $9, $10 a month. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're paying $1 here, $1 here. Sooner or later, it gets to be $20, $30, you know, to have a direct connect to these artists. And you're getting the same music that technically you can just go on the streaming service and type in Ryan Kilgore and just get whatever. If he's got something new, I get it, right. You know. So I see what they were doing. It's almost like half of it is the business and the other half is charity. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm supporting the artist because the artist needs supporting in order to do what they, and I understand that, and so I'm going to put this dollar in. You know, but again, you got 7 billion people on the planet, so I mean, it ain't like you got to get all 7 billion. You know,
Groupon has 77 million subscribers, right? And on average per month, they spend $1.25. That grosses them $4 billion annually.
Woo.
Right. Here's a novel idea. Give me $20 of your money,
and as a consumer.
No, just as a friend.
Okay.
And tell me to hold it for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then when you want it back, you give me $2.50. I'll give you your $10 back.
I like the fact that you got 20 and gave me back 10.
Yeah, that went way over my head.
Okay, now let me put it on the ground.
Yeah, please, because I thought I was good.
When you go to the ATM,
okay,
to get your money back,
okay,
they charge you $2.50 to get your
money.
Own
money. Yeah, that's right.
And then you're going to get charged double if you're not using the ATM that's indigenous to your bank. So you're going to pay almost $5 to get $20 of your money back.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that it is a common occurrence, we don't recognize the fact. Right. Because you think about how many times you use the ATM.
Right. I mean, now
how do you apply that to the music business?
Okay. What you're saying with that in terms of that it may become financially overwhelming for the consumer if they're spending $1 on Ryan's music and $1 on this song and that song, they realize, man, I'm spending $20 a month. Well, to them, it's just the cost of music. Because we can't overthink what the consumer will spend and what they won't do.
You know what's interesting about that $1? The thing is that I think that they're on the right track. Mm-hmm. I think the adjustment needs to be to the business model. I think the adjustment needs to be that you're not getting something that you can already get somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, one of the things I wanted to do with live internet TV was bring artists on, and let's just say that you've got Jay-Z in New York, okay? Mm-hmm. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring Jay-Z on the show, and Jay-Z says, okay, well, I'm going to do my own internet TV show. And I can see the chat and all that, but now what I'm saying is that now, since you've got the interactive, you got Twitter, you've got this chat room that I have, now you have an interactive piece. Okay? Now, if Lisa in LA types in, yeah, Jay-Z, I love you, blah, 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 and Jay-Z, yo, I see my girl Lisa in LA, she, you know, she blah. Now, you know Lisa in LA is losing it.
Right.
At that particular point. You know, and even you playing with Stevie, okay? I mean, yeah, I mean, you're leveraging that. That's what you do in this business. I mean, that's what you do. The thing is that you got a lot of people who, you know, you got some kids who play sax all over this country, you know, and, okay, yeah, Stevie Wonder sax player is going to be online, and, you know, he's going to be answering questions and blah, 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 blah. The point is that the thing that I think that artists have to start to look at is that now you're not going to be making money off of your music as much as you are going to be making money off of what your music makes you, who you become because of the music. That's what that thing said. The enemy is obscurity. Right. If nobody knows who you are,
right, and
it doesn't pay.
And it's also about learning to build a brand and not just being.
That's who controls the brand. See, if Airborne is controlling, and it's $1 to you, and they're making the connection for you, right? An advertiser is going to take note when you have 1,000 people who are vibing you at $1 a month,
right?
And they're going to want a piece of that. Who gets that advertising dollar? Ryan Kilgore or Airborne?
Airborne.
That made it happen.
It's the same way with YouTube.
And it's right, or someone who's blogging or podcasting, and advertisers are picking it up. That money's not coming to the podcaster necessarily, or the blogger.
The content. Example, a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago, there was a video that went viral where this little boy was outside on the tricycle and a dog attacked him and the cat chased the dog away.
I saw that.
You saw that? Okay. When you go to, so now it's on YouTube, they got, I don't know how many million hits, but now you got a commercial that comes on before that where you get the option to skip the ad, but
after 4 seconds of the ad.
Right. But somebody's paying to be on that video.
Right.
And the person who put the video up there, like what Jerry's saying, is not getting a penny from the content.
Well, they are at that point. I think it's, and I could be
they can
wrong.
opt in.
I think it's like 100,000 hits. Then they start paying you, but it's still a very
small amount.
Small amount.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I've heard of
control
people.
the content that you are putting out. You have to be very careful as the songwriter and the artist for your brand.
Right.
You have to protect that brand because nobody's going to protect it for you, and everybody wants a piece of it.
I think in the end, what's going to wind up happening is on the marketing, all the things that the artists are now having to do on their own. I think sooner or later, the artists, since they're creative people, they're going to eventually figure out a way to deal with this situation because they're going to have to. They're going to have to. I mean, if they're going to eat, they're going to have to figure something out. I mean, you've got, you know, what you're trying to do in terms of, you know, okay, well, when I do my record, this is the business model I'm using for a record. I'm pulling cats in, and you're going to get paid for it. Now, I remember when Van Halen was saying, you know, well, yeah, everybody in Van Halen gets paid off of every song, no matter who writes it. And I remember people thinking, man, that's crazy. It's not so crazy now.
No, it's not.
No.
Because I wish more, I mean, we would think differently if we had money in our pocket.
Exactly.
You know, you would think business if you were a businessman. I mean, you know, Jay-Z says, I'm a businessman. You know what I mean? And so when that's the other aspect is, you know, when I think about my family in itself, you know, my dad was a musician, my stepfather was a musician, you know, but no one ever was doing it for a career. They were just playing at church, playing weddings, doing this whole type of thing.
For the love of it.
For the love of it, you know, and so there's that, especially coming from a church standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
You know, are you playing for God or are you playing for Jesus? You know, but the Bible says a man don't work, he don't eat.
Get me started.
You know what I mean? So everybody wants you to do something for free.
Oh,
I have
man.
friends now that hit me up on Facebook and they say, "Can you play a song for such and such? How much you gonna charge me?" What are you talking about? Like, don't come at me like that. You know what I mean? Because this is what I do for a living, and I have bills and I have things too. And if I'm doing everything for free, I already give back to the kids. But you want me, you know, but you want this amazing moment for your fiance or situation, but you don't want to pay my worth or that type of situation.
Right.
So,
You're already getting it at a discount.
I mean,
even when you pay, you're already getting it. At a
yeah. You know, so I guess from that standpoint, it's like, man, I don't. People. Let me see. How do I say it? it's like the we get taught to be musicians and that's it. You know, you don't. Hey man, just play these drums.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You don't have to think about the business.
Yeah, and it's like, but that's the reason why they call it the music business.
Right.
And so the music part, that's great, and you could be the greatest musician and have no work.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand the business. Right. And then you can be the not so good and decent and be all over the country playing. And I know some musicians like that, and I'm sitting there like, wow, this dude is not really
that good.
I mean, compared to who everybody says is my favorite, but he's working more than the other cat. Yeah. You know, even me, you know, and even that too, sometimes we get caught up in playing with other major artists. And so
they got golden handcuffs. I mean, you get locked in.
Man. Because it's either now he's too expensive, he's not available automatically without even calling me and asking me, am I available? They always think you're on the road, and I'm sitting at the crib like, you could have hit me up. You know what I mean? You could have hit me up, you know. And so it's I mean, you know, it's a hard balance to have that. But yeah, I mean, I want to start, you know, from a musician standpoint, you know, teaching cats like, yo, man, like you have to be your business and like you're saying, be your brand, and you have the power to steer it the way you want it. So someone asked me one time, man, you Ryan Kilgore, why don't you have a deal? And I asked the question, I said, well, am I supposed to be looking for them or are they supposed to be looking for me? You know what I mean? And so, but that was an honest question because like, well, I've never been at this point in my career before. Right. You know what I mean? When I got with Stevie, it was just, yo, let's go on a tour. Yeah, oh my God, let's go see the world. Right. And you're not realizing all the contacts I missed because I wasn't, you know, because maybe I was paying attention to the chick sitting over there instead of the promoter sitting over there. You know, or reaching out before I come and say, hey, who's this guy?
You know what?
This new jazz
you know what? On that point, I had to learn that.
Yeah.
Being out with SOS for 12 years, I had to learn that. And the thing is that I'm gonna tell you what wound up being just as important as the contacts is the pictures, because the pictures would tell the story.
Yeah. That's right.
I didn't have to write nothing down. All I had to do was just take the picture and post that joint, because those pictures are where people, just like with you. Okay, well, you had the video. Now imagine if you didn't have that video.
Yeah. Well, when I first started with them, YouTube hadn't really struck out yet.
Right, but that's my whole point. So the thing is that, you know, you don't have a video, and I'm saying, yeah, he's Ryan Kilgore, yeah, and I'd say all day, yeah, you were Stevie Wonder, but it doesn't have the same impact. Right. And so what I'm saying is that I had to learn about marketing myself in this business. Yeah. As an engineer, I had to learn about marketing myself, you know, saying, okay, well, no, I'm actually out here. We're doing the work, you know. I'm taking pictures.
See, now I feel like as an artist, because I've learned and read books, and that's the other thing is reading and all those things. And so now, if I'm studying a publicist, you know, I'm gonna hang with a publicist. I'm gonna talk to that publicist, especially somebody on, you know, that's a publicist like for Stevie. I'm soaking up information. Like, well, what are you thinking?
Join it. But getting that information for free, you ain't coming off no coin for that.
Well, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing is now I know how to delegate the job, and that's the reason why I'm trying to get information, not so that I can cut that person out, because someone does that job, and as an artist, I don't need to be the publicist, but I do need to know what a publicist does and what their responsibility is, so I'm not just hiring and firing and hiring and firing and wasting time. It's like, no, I understand what your ability is. I need you to make sure that all the newspapers know what I get in town. I need you to know, there need to be photographers, like you're saying, pictures, so it can be documented. You know, I need to be on the front page the next morning. Oh my God, Ryan Kilgore was here. So it can be like, oh, yo, he was here. You know, and so the person that missed it say, oh man, he was here. You know, and it changes. I don't need to just go to the venue. I need to go see some people randomly pop up at a library, randomly pop up at a grocery store. You know, that extra work. That grassroots again, you know. Facebook, man, I'm telling you, people like your stuff all the time.
Right.
When Facebook first came out and I put something out, if 200 people liked it, 150 people showed up.
Wow.
Like, you know, you send out an invite and you say, and you look at the people that say they're coming. They used to come. Now people just say I'm going, just to say I'm going.
It's like a like.
Yeah.
I'm going is like saying I like.
Oh,
not man, I'm going.
Now I'm going, but yeah.
You know, and then the thing is that be careful. If I'm going means I'm going is one thing, but I'm going and I'm gonna have to spend money too. That's a whole nother beast. You know, when you start asking people to spend money and go, you know, and show up somewhere. You know, look, this has been like I mean, we all got stuff going on, and we're all dealing with our own issues, and in terms of the whole reinvention thing. One of the things that I'm very it seems to be very interesting to me is right now everybody is learning right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we've got all these years experience in what we do, and we're learning because this thing is, and going back to what we're talking about, this whole thing of like that first video, this thing is changing so fast. That's what makes the learning so crazy, because you're just trying to catch up, and by the time you catch up, it's going,
you're already behind.
You're still behind. So the music business, let's just give it 5 years. 5 years from now, what do you see? Just because really, that's how you got to play the game. You got to see where you think it's going to be 5 years from now, and then you got to start planting seeds today, so that you can meet wherever it's going to be. Just, I mean, so we're not fortune tellers here, but everybody's got to guess. If we don't guess, we lose. I mean, you got to. I mean, I know that's a crazy question, but I have to ask it. You know, I mean,
you know, honestly, I mean, I could guess, but I really don't know, because like you're saying, the changes that get made, you know, that are made so often. But again, I guess I'm embracing the old school way of thought. You know, and,
I like that way.
You know, to recycle it, to you know, give the music away. You know, a lot of sense. You know,
that Jerry Garcia kind of vibe to
you
it.
know, so like if the kids are downloading, then every time I go to a school with this new record, I need to have download cards. I need to have free samples or something to say, hey, to encourage them to continue to do the things they've been doing. So some of it, we're not going to be able to change.
What about the musicians who are not recording original material?
That actually, I was going to touch on that when you were asking about the scene. You know, how you go to hear the musicians or whatever. That's a lost art. You know, and it's because of the way radio is played. So if radio is playing,
back to you, Mitch.
If radio are playing these songs, and that's what you go to these clubs, and that's what they're dancing to, and this and the other, then the musician says, "I need to learn that song, that song, that song, that song." Again, now it's almost like you're becoming the machine. So now you're helping to promote non-musicianship by playing someone else's music.
Right. So what you're saying is that technically, I mean, the industry here in Atlanta would probably change if the musicians just decided that they were going to start recording more material.
Oh my God! You know how many great artists that we have in the city that will not play their own music?
It's crazy.
I mean, one of the things about your own music, and I tell, I've run into artists all the time, recording artists all the time, and I'm gonna say that I'm gonna be done. Recording artists all the time. You're a recording artist. Well, how many songs do you have recorded? I've got 12. So you got 12 songs recorded. Now, mind you, now everybody got a computer at home with something on it, GarageBand, something. They got 12 songs recorded. I said, well, how long you been recording? I've been recording 5, 6, 7 years. You got 12 songs. Now, mind you, now you got artists back in the day. They would put out an album a year. So you're not talking about just the 12 songs that were on the record, because how many songs that
labels started regulating that. You know,
but the labels ain't around right now, so I'm like, why are you not?
I know, but it's kind of creature of habit, though. You know, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to be too exposed, or you know, this kind of thing. But like you said,
I would say, looking forward, that an artist needs to spend the time every month recording one song, and then have a drop date that he can promote every. If he's on the 5th, I'm dropping something new every month. It's only 12 songs a year,
right?
Drop on the 5th. Oh man, Ryan Kilgore, you know, every time on the 5th, go to his website, you know he's gonna be dropping something new every. Now you got something where your audience is saying, okay,
get $1 each.
He's giving.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
you know, he's giving something to me. Oh, you know, I mean, don't get me started. Do that. Also, not only are you dropping that one song a month, you're also documenting the process of doing it. Hey, I'm in the studio with Mitch. Mitch is doing a vocal overdub for me, blah, 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 blah. And you drop, it's only 3 seconds with a camera. And then drop that on Facebook, or you got your Facebook channel, blah, blah, blah. So in other words, not only are they getting material, now they're starting to see the whole background story behind the music. Now and I think that's the thing that has to happen with the music business, that the artists are going to have to give more now than what, you can't just say, okay, well, I'm just going to, you're going to have to deliver on what you say you are. If you are a recording artist, you're going to have to create, you're going to have to record, and you're going to have to deliver. That's the first thing got to happen. Then the second thing is you're going to have to pull them in. You're going to have to give them something, like we said back in the day.
Yeah.
We had the jackets, right? So we knew what was going. Well, okay, now people ain't reading. They want to see. They want to see the video of the 20-second video where you pulled in whoever musician you got in town that you playing with. You say, O'Teal, okay, O'Teal's playing bass. Okay, boom, I got O'Teal playing bass. We working on the track. A new track is going to drop on the 5th. Check it out. It's going to be blah blah blah. So now people, they every day, because it's only 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But it's a big 20 seconds.
Yeah, it is a big 20 seconds. I mean, again, I've been embracing that. We were talking about that outside, about this record and hearing stories and talking to Ronnie Foster and, hearing conversations with Chick Corea and all these people remembering their session they had when they wrote this song together, and having that moment. So for me, it's many of the musicians on this record. Some of them are out in L.A., so I can't get to them. But I'm asking them still to record a video of them recording.
Doing the track.
So that I could at least have this moment of, wow, look at him. Oh, that's going to be nice.
Right.
Even though I don't have the file yet, he sent the video, so I'm excited about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And you create this ongoing relationship, and I think that's the work we're talking about.
Yeah.
They're going to have to work.
Yeah.
There's no way around. But, I mean, Rashida, I think this is the Rashida. She's in California.
Okay.
Frankly, I got to tell y'all, I understand where the technology is and all this other kind of stuff, but I just get off on the fact that somebody in California checking us out in Atlanta, and
dope.
she's typing in, you know what I'm saying? She says, no CDs or music stores if they still exist. She's saying in reference to the 5-year question. So in other words, her thing is...
Yeah, that's going to be gone.
It's over.
But just to kind of use your 5-year reference in reference to my industry, to radio, I realized in 1996 when Clinton was in office and they completed the deregulation of the Federal Communications Commission with the Telecommunications Act, which restricted how many stations an individual company could own versus radio, television, and newspaper.
That was huge.
Because you think about that, that's considered a monopoly. If you can control newspaper, radio, and television in one city, you can influence people's thoughts and ideas.
Right.
So, but when the deregulation started, and I saw what happened, it began the glutton of companies buying radio stations purely for profit. So you look at it like this. The people that used to own radio stations were broadcasters at heart. Like when you talk about what you play, you playing from here first. You know, at some point you say, man, I may need to take what I played from my heart and make it a little bit more commercial so I can get some money. So you kind of dilute that, but to still the initial process. So that's the same thing in radio. So now the people that own radio stations are not broadcasters. They didn't wake up in the middle of the night and said, I want a radio station so I can broadcast to a community and play music or give information. That doesn't happen. So looking at it now, fast forward 5 years from now, radio can only exist if it's being relevant in people's lives. So we're
the same thing we were talking about with the music.
So now we're no longer relevant in people's lives in reference to music for people under 25 years old.
And that's going to grow.
We've already lost that.
Right.
So now as people grow older, radio doesn't recognize people beyond 54 because of the advertising blanket where they take their revenue from. 54 is irrelevant. So the thought process from advertisers is when you get to be 54, your kid's already grown and gone. You're retired, so you're not spending money like crazy. The only thing you're buying is health care, insurance, maybe some vacations.
Wow.
And you know, the stuff you put on your back.
That's bad news.
That kind of thing.
Gas at $4 a gallon.
Okay, but
for 3 of the 4 panelists, that's bad news.
Absolutely. But here's the dynamic. Just in case you don't understand what I'm saying, watch the TV that you don't watch. Watch TV Land. That's playing the Beverly Hillbillies and Gomer Pyle and Gilligan's Island. Look at the commercials on that channel versus what you see on
MTV,
on MTV or
BT,
one of the contemporary stations.
Yeah.
So now eventually that audience is going to die.
Yeah.
I'm a baby boomer.
Yeah.
Okay, so eventually I'm going to be gone from the landscape of the advertising community, and at some point I'll be gone from the planet. Right? So the advertisers said, well,
how do we connect?
The number one consumer in America is a female between the age of 35 and 49. They spend more money than any other consumer in the world. The advertisers know that. Now, if you're married and you're between ages 35 and 49, the wife controls 85% of the gross household income. That's research by fact. Woo! So if you got children that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 going into high school, the wife in the house is deciding what clothes they wear and where they come from. She's deciding what kind of toilet tissue you got, the toothpaste, the laundry detergent, the carpet, the curtains, the furniture, the food, everything. She's making that decision, right? Now you as a man with your chest stuck out saying, babe, I'm getting ready to go buy a lawnmower.
You've arrived, right?
That's your decision, right? And she said, well, where you going? Well, I'm going down to the hardware store. Honey, I saw in the paper that this store over here got them on sale. You go marching over there, and guess what? She just influenced your purchase.
Wow.
So 85. So now,
just picked your dadgum.
So from a consumer standpoint, radio will be at a standpoint in 5 years from now that they will not have an audience to sell to unless they can continue to be relevant, and music's not it. So if you look at radio, more stations are having to go to content. Talk radio, spoken word radio is now the top earner in the industry. In this market, WSB is the #1 station in the market.
Get out of here.
WSB
I didn't know that.
I mean, I can agree. I listen to 92.9 The Game all the time.
Spoken word.
It's spoken word. You know,
that's better than listening to that same 5 records you heard yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of my people in my team, you know, they fuss at me because I'm a huge Falcon fan and I love sports, and I like listening to you know people talk. You know, especially about things that you're interested in. So that's the thing about radio. The reason why those morning shows work and those afternoon shows work, you know, because people are talking. So it's less music and it's more talking and it's more gossip and it's more.
What was the saying used to be? About more music, less talk. That's over.
It's what Mitch is talking about, though. It's relevant.
It's relevant.
Yeah. So 5 years?
5 years, man.
Radio's gone. What
radio's
else?
gone. I mean, as far as music, it's already out of here. I mean,
because I think that Pandora, and I think they pay 0.6 cents,
right?
You know, in terms of royalty rate for a song versus what it used to be on the radio. I'm not sure what.
Well, radio doesn't pay that much. Radio pays BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC.
Right.
You know, that's what mechanical royalties.
Right. But I'm just saying. I mean, 0.6 cents is not very much.
Right. But Pandora is getting hit the hardest because they're what we call a peer play, where you can select what you want to hear.
Okay.
And streaming is different. Streaming is like radio. When you hit the button, it plays. Whatever it plays, that's what it plays. Yeah. But pure play is
actually
like
got a
you can
paper
sit
trail.
there and you can type in, I want to hear Ryan Kilgore. Boom. You hit the button, and it plays Ryan Kilgore and everything that's similar to him. But it keeps coming back 4 or 5 songs later and play one of his songs. So they get charged more, and they've been screaming with the Congress and everything else, trying to get radio to pay the same thing that the peer plays play. But the thing about it is they're really afraid of that because radio was a point of music discovery, which is it no longer is. But the thing about it is like to run a commercial on a radio station can be, say, $250 for a 60-second spot, right, in a major market. If I play your song and your song is 4 minutes long, I have given you, you know, over $1,000 in airtime. So now the question is, if that's the way you need to be paying who, then you need to pay us.
Right.
If you want us to play your song is 4 minutes long. I spot you $250 a minute. 4 minutes times 4, that's $1,000, dog. Hook it up. I'll play that song 5 times. So that and that's why
it's cornered where you only hear the same music.
And that started in the 50s and in the 80s. In one fast forward to the 80s.
I know where you go.
Neil Young, in one of his many incarnations, shows up with a bebop band called the Shocking Pinks and does a tune called the Payola Blues.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you want to get your song on? Oh, that's going to cost you, son. The Payola Blues. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
So for independent artists, I don't have $1,000 just to give away, just to get a.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
then you better get $1 a month.
Somebody says even some national artists who come here play mainly covers.
Covers, yeah.
Let's see, because they know that it's a sure thing with audiences here. I mean, so I guess the question would be: is it an Atlanta thing?
No, it's not.
When I
It's
saw,
not.
you're going
No,
back,
no,
you know, because I guess I'm one of the guys that we're going to be dead and off the planet and off the air. But when I saw Heart, when they were touring, late 70s, 80s, their first encore was a cover of Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll.
Man.
And the crowd went nuts because there happened to be a lot of Zepp heads in the crowd.
Well, Stevie does it.
Yeah.
We go to a different country. He'll usually pick a song that was very popular in that country. You know, but I look at it from an artist standpoint. I look at it from creating that relationship.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not always.
There's nothing wrong with covers.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with covers.
Right.
You know, and some of them are good segues into, oh, well, this song right here inspired this song. You know, that kind of thing. But the other aspect, you know, and I guess talking from a jazz musician, you know, they initially just got taught to stand there and say, "Hi, my name is Ryan Kilgore, and this song is called JC's Girls, and it's on my record. Here we go."
Wow.
Did you like it? Great. All right, next song. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no true interaction with it from the standpoint of,
You know, and I mean, that's a hard one. Yeah, it is a hard one. I think one of the things that has to be recognized, and this is why I think that I'm seeing that you have some people who look backwards and they're not happy. But then a lot of times when I see people who are looking forward and being proactive, they have hope. It's hard to have hope when you're looking backwards. No, you can't.
You know, and I think one of the things that, you know, because I write, I produce, I do things. I mean, I'm constantly in there in the studio messing around with something, trying to come up with some ideas, you know, and I still get my checks. I still get my royalty check. Matter of fact, you probably played a couple of my records back in the day. You know? But the thing is that I still get the checks, and so when I go into the studio and I start writing, I'm writing from a position of hope, versus saying, okay, well, this thing is just a train wreck, and I'm just going to just be done with it. You know, I mean, and I think that that's the thing that musicians are going to have to come to grips with. You know, either you're going to just die on the vine, or you're going to have to get out there and fight and try to create something out of yourself that has value, because the public doesn't care. Right. And that's the thing I think the musicians have had a hard time understanding. They that's don't. To my point of the reason why I'm spreading the love. You know, because I want the musicians on my record, from this record on to how many of the records I'm blessed to do, for the musicians to be excited that I call them and say, "Hey, man, I want you on this record."
That's that hope.
Because we are a team, we're a family, and it's us against them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And from the stance of, if I'm making the money and you're not making money, then you're homeless, or you're not, you know, you're not encouraged to have that type of hope.
I think there's an extension of what you just talked about, because I'm looking at what's sitting here, you know, what we got sitting here, and what our expertises are. And the thing is that we always had to work together to make money back in the day. It's just that somebody else was controlling the money. Right. Okay. But now, when we say the record companies are saying, okay, well, we're getting out of this game, and y'all can have it. Well, the thing is that now, like I said, now it kind of, in a way, it kind of presents an opportunity, because now you know radio, you know books, you know, I do, you know, the technical stuff, you know the art. That's a nice little powerhouse team.
It is.
Right. You know, if cats sit down long enough and say, well, you know what, maybe there's something there that we need to look at. All the things that the record industry was doing and radio was doing and blah, 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 blah. Why can we not create that for ourselves? We still have the skill sets that we always had, you know. And one of the things that we find out there in Silicon Valley is they figured it out. It's the teamwork that makes things work out there. That's, those billions of dollars are coming from all that teamwork that's going on. Yeah, absolutely. They know they're in the sweet spot, but they know that working together is really what makes that thing happen.
Yeah. Well, friends help friends make money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're really my friend, then you're going to help me make some money, just like I'm going to help you make some money.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, with the technology aspect of us having 7 billion people on the earth, and if we all do a project, then it's like, okay. And it could be you could be the face of the project. That's fine. Yeah. But if you wanted me to make some music to it, then now I've helped make your brand a different type of brand.
Exactly.
As well as,
and it goes both ways.
Cross-pollinates.
It goes both ways.
Yeah. So being strategic, I think, is something that that's a lost art.
But you know what? One of the things, because I think I got to get you on the list. But one of the things we do with this thing, where guys are getting together once a month, that I'm sending emails out for.
the first one we did, I think that was the most amazing piece to everybody who was there, was the fact that they hadn't been around men communicating in so long that they were just shocked by the experience.
Mm-hmm. I was excited at the prospect of it.
Oh my God.
I told my wife, I was like, that was out. She's like, what did I want? I said, Guy's Not Out. It was like, wow.
Just talking. Just talking.
Just talking.
You know, and they
at the club,
get a drink, have a conversation, you know. But the thing is that what we're talking about here, one of the reasons I think it winds up being so hard to get people together is because we don't get together.
No,
it's a lost art.
We are technologically, we are more connected to the globe than we've ever been, and more separated from one another
locally.
than we've ever been.
You know, your local situation. Anyway, wow, this has been great. Okay, my wife is signing off. I appreciate you checking us out. Man, this has been great. I got to go back and watch the whole thing 2-3 times.
Yeah, I got to see this again. I gotta see your video.
And we
I gotta
really
go look up your books, man.
Yes, you do.
Absolutely.
As Ryan and I were talking, there's so much that we didn't get to.
Oh yeah.
You know, we were talking about how the digital age and destructive technology.
Mm-hmm.
What about when the Indigo Girls did not win the best Grammy for a new artist and Milli Vanilli did?
That's ridiculous.
That was the beginning. That was the beginning.
He said that.
I said that should have been a huge red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was. But again, it was used more so as a celebration of the music machine because they were able to push these guys through,
and nobody was paying attention.
And nobody was paying attention.
No, nobody was paying attention.
You know, in the industry,
Hypnotic.
Yeah.
Hypnotism.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, like I said, I for one, I want to thank all of you guys for coming out. You know, like I said, I'll be 55 this year, and I just feel this immense need to communicate, and I don't know why, but that's one of the things I'm discovering at 55. Go with it. You know how instead of judging it, if you're feeling it, it's like playing, man. Just go with it. You know.
Yeah, I appreciate being a part of it,
and I mean,
I love learning from it.
Oh man.
Well, one of the most dynamic things I heard was, you know, I skip around listening to radio all over the place I can find it. I'm listening to the BBC New Year's Eve, actually New Year's Day, or however the time was they were into before we were. But anyway, one of the guys that always does a comical New Year's wrap-up, you know, first of year wrap-up, he was a comedian in London, but, you know, he talks about the Queen and all the other stuff, what needs to go on. He said, but the most profound thing he said, and if you're born on this day, you'll never know what the definition of privacy is. Think about that.
Whoa.
So now, somebody who's born in 2014 will never know what the definition of privacy is. Because you think about it. You got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and those things. I mean, people sitting there tweeting, I'm at so-and-so restaurant about to eat this cheeseburger. Bang, there's a picture. Okay. You know? So, but the thing about it is that that's just what we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
You think about the technology that's on its way, because at some point Facebook is going to be old.
Yeah.
At some point Twitter is going to be like, what's that?
A lot of it is going to be automated.
Right.
You know, you'll be able to say, okay, but look, I mean, imagine a piece of software where people are because right now everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to have some attention. I mean, you know, you got people who are depressed because they only have 200 friends on Facebook. Right. I mean, you know, so I mean, it's real. I mean, you know, that type of depression is real. But imagine somebody saying, well, man, if they got this software that will tell people exactly where I am all the time.
Right.
So why don't I just sign up for that, and somebody can be online and they can see that I'm at Kroger and they're at Kroger and they can come see me. But see, you're a different person.
I don't need you to know I'm
But think about it. But what you just said, that the person who are born today don't know anything about privacy.
I battle with that as an artist and as a person. Because see, as a person, I'm private. But as an artist, I have to be
public.
I have to be public. So it's like, hey man, you don't tweet enough. You don't such enough. You don't do this and that. I'm like, man, I don't care if people know that I'm getting ready to go to the bathroom. This is not their business. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So do you want to put your money into the chip that's going to be implanted in everybody, or into the satellites that will track them?
I'm actually putting my money. I'm putting my money into what is it called? The Internet of Everything, where basically everything's going to have a chip in it, because they're so small now. Basically, I'm talking about milk, your refrigerator, cups.
Walmart started that years ago.
Yeah. So the thing is that's where my money's going. And if I'm gonna have to invest in anything, I'm investing in the Internet of Everything. That's because that's coming, and it's coming like a freight train, and all the stock guys are talking about it, and blah blah blah.
I mean,
so
the vet, man, they offered to put a chip in my dog, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, this was.
When I had one, they had
4 years ago.
Yeah, they had a chip.
You got low jack in your dog.
Pretty much.
Hey y'all, look, we're gonna get out of here. But anybody who was hanging around with us, listening to these old guys talk, well, we got a young guy here. Speak for yourself, man. Yeah, but listen to us talk, and I appreciate that. And then I think that obviously, I don't know how we're gonna do it. We got to do something again or something. I mean, I think that because, like you said, it's going to be a huge thing, because one of the guys did make a good point. He said music is not going anywhere.
No.
Right. It's going to be around.
Right.
Yes.
So the issue of, do I make a living off of music, or do I make a living off of what music makes me?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I mean, it makes you into something else because of and you can eat off of that. Mm-hmm. That brand you're talking about, you can eat off of that.
Those powerful mnemonics. There is.
Yeah. So anyway, look. Man, Barry was there the whole time.
Appreciate you, Barry. Man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I mean, I really appreciate that. But anyway, we'll try to put something else together, and we will be back and try to get some more things going on. Bobby Millions is here. She came to hang out with us. So we appreciate her coming out and hanging with us. So anyway, look, we will be back at you. Just stay tuned on Facebook or whatever, and just look for some guys who are just hanging out. Until then, peace. Take care.
Folks out there.
You a beast, man.
Oh, appreciate it, man.
How old are you?
33. I'll be 33 in July 4th.
Man.
Thank you.
Man, I was in